Todd Piro with me this morning. Did Biden's weakness embolden our enemies right from the start?
100%. And you and I are both students of history. We both recognize that throughout history, anything that shows weakness, like an appeasement strategy or any weakness, invites aggression. But don't take our word for it. Talk to the military leaders. People have actually gone into battle, and they will say weakness invites aggression. This is part of the problem that the United States has right now with so many people in Congress that have not gone through military service. When you have gone through military service, when you have fought in a war, as so many of our representatives did following World War II, for example, you have a different look at the world, and you're able to look at things through the lens of reality. This administration is not looking at things through the lens of reality, and that's why we're in the predicament, not just the U.S., but the world at large.
You know, Peter Doocy, our own Fox News Peter Doocy, he asked the White House if they would hold the pro-Palestine protesters to the same standard as MAGA extremists. All right, watch this response.
Does President Biden think the anti-Israel protesters in this country are extremists?
What I can say is what we've been very clear about this. When it comes to anti-Semitism, there is no place.
We hear you guys, though, talk about extremists all the time. It is usually about MAGA extremists. So what about these protesters who are making Jewish students feel unsafe on college campuses? Are they extremists?
I've been very, very clear. We are calling out any form of hate.
Why won't the White House call these by the way, on the left-hand side of your screen, anti-Israel protesters are disrupting the Blinken hearing on Capitol Hill. That's what's going on right now. That's what you can see. They're arresting some people, leading them out. That's happening right now in Washington. Back to our discussion here with Todd Piro. Why won't the White House call out the extremists who are pro-Hamas?
But it's perfectly acceptable to call people like Jim Jordan, a sitting member of Congress, an extreme MAGA Republican. To that point, it just shows this administration wants to have it both ways because they know the electoral problems that they're facing. They're either going to lose the liberal Jewish bloc or they're going to lose the liberal radical pro-Hamas bloc. They're going to have to pick one. There's no equivocation here, but they're trying to do the equivocation and they're losing both. This is an easy choice, Stu. Pick Israel and, you know, let the other people, they're not going to vote for you, but they're also not going to vote for Trump or whoever the Republican is either. They're going to sit it out.
I'm just going to take you back to Capitol Hill, live shots there. Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, he had been testifying about foreign policy, basically. His questioning was interrupted by protesters who are now being taken out and arrested in some cases. And that is an ongoing situation. They're still disrupting the Blinken hearings, and we'll keep you in touch with that. Now this, President Biden reportedly ripped into the New York Times for their reporting on the war in Israel. Tell me more about that, please, Lauren.
So this is happening in private, reportedly, to a small group of people, and President Biden is slamming the New York Times for running with a headline informed by the Gaza Health Ministry that accused Israel of bombing the hospital in Gaza, killing hundreds of people. The Times didn't do their due diligence, right? They didn't verify that information. They took the word of the Gaza Health Ministry. So Israel later produced proof. Here's the proof. It wasn't us. It was actually an Islamic Jihad rocket. It misfired. It hit the hospital parking lot. Biden was in Israel the next day. We saw him October 18th. He said it was the other team, meaning not Israel. Well, I'm just looking at this update today, actually, on the New York Times. They say they still cannot answer what actually caused the blast, although it's probable it was not Israel.
Do you know anything more about this?
I actually think, I've never given Joe Biden a credit on this panel, but I think he is much stronger on this than his White House. The people that are pulling the strings behind the scenes, they're the ones that are really pushing this pro-Hamas, anti-Israel rhetoric. And Joe Biden is an old soul. I mean, he's been in politics for a gazillion years. He knows that we need to be strong with Israel, but because he's a weak leader, to your earlier point, and because he's the puppet in the White House, he's being controlled by the people that are running our administration.
And he's got a split party. Half of his party does not approve of where he stands on Israel. There's a split. All right, thanks very much, everybody.